Hello and welcome to part 3, Religion Specialist. Congratulations for taking this last step in becoming the best possible Catholic educator you can be by taking this course. And my name's Ursula Cibulco. I'm your instructor. Quite a few of you in my section have had me already, so you kind of know my story. But I'll just tell you a little bit what brought me here as an introduction, so you know who's behind the screen, and then hopefully I'll get to know some of you a little bit better too, as you will share with me. I've been retired for a few years now. I taught for 30 years in Dufferin Peel, and I loved it. I've always wanted to be a teacher, but never in my wildest dreams did I think my career would unfold the way it did. I just wanted to teach grade 3. That was kind of my dream, but my calling that I answered, uh, so I'm saying this for a reason, because it's going to link to our part 3 course. I said yes to God, and to my great surprise, it turned out to be a phenomenal career and journey through Catholic education. So I started in elementary as an instrumental music teacher, then quickly moved to secondary, where I taught religion. And back in the day, I sound old. Back in the day, no one really was trained to teach religion because it wasn't a teachable subject at that time, right? So I had an interest because I was volunteering at my parish to teach catechism to get the letter before I went in to become a teacher, and so I had an interest in teaching religion. So my last year of university, I took an elective. I took one of these religion courses just to kind of see what it was about, and it changed my world. I fell in love with studying religion, and it was the end of my degree. So I did take a couple of courses, kind of like, part time afterwards. But I really had this newfound fascination, which turned into be my passion that I didn't even realize was to study and teach religion. So I became a religion teacher. I was at Father Michael Gates for a number of years. I always say I grew up at Father Michael Gates. I learned to become a teacher, and that was an incredible opportunity. So I realized I was a history major, but I realized I wanted to be authentic in front of my students. I loved teaching religion, and I wanted to be authentic. So I started the journey of my master's in religious education at St. Mike's at U of T, only because I wanted to be a better religion teacher. I wanted to know my stuff. I wanted to be able to be authentic in front of my students, which is, and then I'll just backtrack for a second. When I first started teaching, one of my greatest fears next to teaching math was teaching religion. I can still picture the teacher's manual sitting on my teacher's desk on the left-hand corner, and starting my career and being afraid that I cannot do this justice. How can I teach religion? So I went from going from great fear of teaching religion to grade 7s to like just being totally in love with doing this, and it's my passion, and I just can't get enough of teaching teachers to become stronger in their own faith. So it's a big surprise when you say yes to God and you allow God to work through your life, even though that wasn't your plan. And so I say this because, the book that we're going to be unpacking is Let Your Life Speak, exploring your vocational call, which is a wonderful way to conclude your 3 parts of religious education. But I'll come back to that in a second. So anyways, make a long story short, I was a retreat facilitator at Gates. I taught religion. I ended up teaching drama because the drama teacher liked what I did in my retreat work, and she liked my personality. And so I ended up teaching drama, which I wasn't trained for, by the way. And I wasn't trained to really be an instrumental music teacher either. I just kind of fell into everything. I fell into teaching instrumental music, religion, drama, retreat facilitation. The last real retreat I was on was in grade 8 before I became a retreat facilitator. And then I reluctantly tried my hand at chaplaincy. I did, I was finishing my MRE, but then I was a little afraid, like, am I going to be the person with all the answers? Because I went to my chaplain to ask all the questions. So, and again, that just took me in a whole different direction. I fell in love with chaplaincy. It was the hardest job I had to do in education. A lot of people look at chaplains and think they're doing nothing, or they criticize them. You got to get used to that when you become a chaplain. But was by far the hardest, most demanding, intensive part of my professional career in Catholic education. And then I was fortunate enough to work at OISE for 2 years. I got a 2-year secondment there, full time, and realized teaching teachers was my passion. Prior to that, I already started working in AQ courses, was course director for the spring course in Dufferin Peel for years. I was, again, another big surprise, I was asked to teach the course in Europe. So I would take teachers from Ontario and teach in Italy, Greece, and Turkey for a number of years. And what a blessing. Again, some of the hardest work I've had to do. Oh yeah, you're teaching in Italy. I didn't sleep. It was like around the clock because you're teaching, you're tour guide, you're ministering. Middle of the night, someone needs a doctor, you're up. It was crazy. It was crazy, but it was phenomenal. So here we are in the online world, and our travels takes us through the screen. And so we continue to work on our faith journey. We continue to work with each other in this format. And I swore I would never do online teaching religion because I could not see how I could build community and do all the things I did in the classroom, on the road, and everything else. And I'm a convert. I love it. I think if you could build community in the classroom, you can build a community any other way. And in our virtual world, you can still do it. So congratulations for taking this last step and for entering into the virtual faith journey with all of us here. And I'm really excited to be teaching. I'm always excited to be teaching. I'm always so grateful when OACTA allows me to teach a section. So here we go. So what are we doing? I probably should have, my last, I was a consultant as well. Trying to forget that one. And I ended my career at St. Mike's in Bolton, starting up a new school and being the first chaplain and trying to establish traditions there. And that was a really tough job too. Boy, I didn't think. But anyways, I ended there. So here I am. I continue to work with you guys. We're going to be doing our specialist course together. I love the part 3 because I love John's Gospel. That's part of the journey, is to explore that 4th Gospel that's not synoptic, right? Matthew, Mark, and Luke, synoptic. John on his own. We're going to talk a lot about that. The book we're going to be exploring, like I said, is Let Your Life Speak. I love Parker Palmer. I am trained in his work. I'm a Courage to Serve facilitator. I did his 2-year retreat on his book Courage to Teach, and then I became a facilitator for Courage to Serve. In the States, it's Courage to Teach. In Canada, it's Courage to Serve. In Australia, it's Courage to Be. So the name changes in the countries. But Parker Palmer has done some phenomenal work with teachers and helping teachers in their ministry. And I love this book, tabbed. I've done retreats on it. It's small, it's like a pamphlet. It's just a little over 100 pages. You could probably read it in a sitting. But it's intensive because it's telling you to look at your own life. And to me, this is kind of the step up from part 2, where we look through life through Maury's experience, Maury's and Mitch's friendship, and unpacking life and getting inspired. And this takes you to the next step, from that experience with Tuesdays with Maury to go within yourself. Let your life speak. Especially during this pandemic, it's really hard sometimes to hear our life speak because it's so crazy. So give yourself a little bit of a retreat when you have time to maybe kind of pull back if it's at all possible. I know some of you at home, things are crazy. You got kids, you're homeschooling and you're working and you're juggling so much. But if you can take little breaks and just go into a little bit of a retreat and let your life speak, you'll love it. Also, when we get to scripture, which is technically the 3rd module, the first one's introduction, second one is church history. You should have by part 3 your own Bible. It should be an NRSV. I'll talk more about that, but that's the Catholic version, okay? And this is the same green Bible that you have in your schools, but I love the Catholic Youth Bible because it gives you more stuff. It gives you a bit of a commentary. It gives you extra resources. You'll see parts of it. We've posted it in scripture to give you some additional information. Follow along on your course outline. Okay, you'll see this online and this helps you. And this is a checklist because no matter how much I set this up, people sometimes forget to post, right? So check, check. I wrote my post, I've responded to somebody else. And then you can keep that physical hard copy if that's still how you like to organize yourself. Otherwise, you can do it online. These are the optional Google Meet, which I started last term with my part twos, and so kind of worked out a schedule. There's 3 of us teaching. There's 3 sections of part 2, so we work together. Decisions are made together as the 3 instructors, so we're consistent with all 3 groups. We've already looked at the curriculum and these crazy times of learning in a pandemic and working in a pandemic. We've already scaled back quite a bit. Don't be afraid. I know one week there's like 5 postings because it's the different stories in John's Gospel. It's not large. It might appear because, oh my gosh, I have to post 5 days in a row. It's not that big. They're small snippets, but they're just divided so that you can digest them one at a time, or you could sit down and bang, do all 5 if you need to. Okay, course is open so that if you can work ahead. Again, our schedules are so different. March break will land in the middle of the course. Some of you might want to work ahead March break because we're not going to the beach. and then the last module, I love it goes from heavy to, in a sense, lighter, because the heavy content stuff's in the beginning, and then we get to the more reflective stuff at the end. So the book is absolutely the close of the course. You could read it ahead of time. You can kind of take a look at this, take a look at your life, look at your calendar, and you can kind of work in a way that's going to cause you least amount of stress, if that's possible. Please, 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 if you fall behind, let me know why. Don't leave me guessing, right? Just shoot me an email. Sorry, Ursula, this has happened. I'm falling behind, but I'll get caught up. Thank you. Like, that's all I want to know. Don't make me reach out to you. No, that's okay. I don't mind reaching out to you guys, and I don't mind talking to you guys. I'm a chaplain still. So use this opportunity if you need to talk to me, if you've got issues about faith, if you're struggling, please, please reach out to me. I don't mind talking to you or doing a face-to-face or any way that I can support you in the weeks that we are together. I love working with Catholic teachers, and I will do my very best to help you have the best experience you can. Yeah, let's work on this together. I have a sense of humor, so please, if you get offended, let me know, because sometimes the mouth goes faster than the brain. But I really try to give some levity to the to what we're going through. You know, these are crazy times. So even though we have looked ahead as instructors to see where can we kind of ease up the load a bit on this course, as we go along, we don't know what's going to happen in this world. There's still a lot of crazy going on. And I'm not going to make reference to our neighbors to the south right now. I'll get into that later. But, you know, as we go along, if you're working way ahead and then I make some modifications, don't be angry at me, okay? Because if we get the call that we need to do something as we go along this course and you've worked ahead, it's not like you're going to have to redo anything. I would never make you do that, but if something should change, don't get angry because you've just raced ahead, okay? And I think that's pretty much all you need to know as we start. What I'm going to also ask you to do is we're going to pray together. And on your phone, there is a Living with Christ app. It's hard to see on the screen. It's this, I tell Catholic teachers, you know, you should have this. My February booklet didn't come in. I have to call them on Monday, but I get my monthly subscription and then I have my app on my phone. And I always believe that we should start our day with the gospel. 2 minutes, 1 minute sometimes, and just let that digest in us throughout the day. And then if we remember, and if we're not too exhausted, maybe read it again at the end of the day and kind of see, how did God impact your life that day? How did the words in the gospel of the day work into who you are and what you're going through or where you're going? I think it's the greatest way to really get engaged in our faith and to have a really active kind of prayer life and relationship with God on a daily basis in a really small bite. It doesn't have to be big. It's hard to read the entire Bible. It's big and it's hard to understand, right? Oh, and I pulled out this sheet. Sorry, I forgot one thing. I do keep track. So it helps me to keep tabs on see, I'm all over the place, who's responded, who hasn't. And if I find you're not responding, I'll go back and say, hey, just to let you know, you forgot to respond to this or that. Okay, sorry. The sheet was here and I forgot to pick it up. So anytime I do a little video with you guys, I try to do one at the beginning of each module. And I like to pray the gospel of the day with you guys. And yeah, because if we were starting the course together, we would start with Mass. If we were meeting every course night in a school, we'd be gathering in the chapel for liturgy. So this is a little bit of a way for me to do liturgy and prayer with you guys communally, so we can build this faith community together. Okay, so we're in a Mark year. Matthew, Mark, and Luke are the three cycles of the Gospels. So this year we're unpacking Mark. Mark is the shortest gospel, the first to be written out of the three synoptics. And so this one comes from Mark 5, 1 to 20 on Monday, February the 1st. And it is about healing the demonic. And Sunday's gospel was the same. And it's interesting. I was watching TV Mass with Father Monsignor Bianco. He used to be the pastor at my church. And he had a really good homily. You can always go back on YouTube and watch homilies if you want to unpack some of the gospels, the daily gospels, and if you don't understand them. But he did a really good job about mental illness, right? So when we read, from 2,000 years ago, struggling with these things that were going on with people, a lot of it could have been just mental illness. And people didn't know how to explain it, so they thought it was a demon possessing them. And sometimes when we look at what's going on in this world and the craziness of conspiracy theories, a lot of people think, what is that? Is that an infiltration of mental illness or the demonic, or, so we're having our own episodes of that, of what's going on with people. How can they believe this? How can they be brought into these kind of crazy theories? And why are people thinking this way? And why are they becoming so violent? Right? It happened then. It's happening now. And we try to explain, how does this infiltrate our humanity? So let's listen to our brother Mark, and let's reflect on that. How is this imbalance in our world affecting our mental health? And we just had the Bell talk. Oh my goodness, my brain, COVID brain. Where everybody did the Bell thing for mental illness. So it's very much in the forefront of our minds, of the impact of people and how it's affecting us being in isolation and not being together and living this unusual life that we've been forced into, and how fragile we are as human beings and how much we need community to stay healthy. It's not the things, it's the people that we need. And we're coming to that realization. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. And peace be with you. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when he had stepped out of the boat, immediately a man out of the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one could restrain him any more, even with a chain, for he had often been restrained with shackles and chains. Could you imagine? But the chains he wrenched apart, and the shackles he broke in pieces, and no one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always howling and bruising himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him, and he shouted at the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he had said to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged him earnestly not to send him out of the country. Now there on the hillside a great herd of swine was feeding. And the unclean spirits begged him, "Send us into the swine. Let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the swine. You know the story. And the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and were drowned in the sea. The swineherd ran off and told The swineherds ran off and told it in the city and in the country. Then people came to see what it was that had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the demonic sitting there, clothed in his right mind, the very man who had the legion, and they were afraid. Those who had seen what had happened to the demonic and to the swine reported it. Then they began to beg Jesus to leave their neighborhood. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed by demons begged him that he might be with him. But Jesus refused and said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and what mercy he has shown you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed. The gospel of the Lord. Crazy, you know? And as crazy as that story may seem, it's kind of happening here. Because there were many in him. How many people have multiple personalities or bipolar? And maybe that was sitting dormant in them. And during this pandemic, this has just rised within them, because the mental anguish of dealing with this virus and everything that has brought us has really been taxing for us as human beings. It is showing us how vulnerable we are. It is attacking us in our weaknesses. And so we need to find the strength. We need to find the courage. We need faith more than ever. And prayer, like meditation, mentally does something to your brain to help you find that balance. And what's better than meditation, or if you do meditative prayer, is that it brings that spiritual healing, not just the brain healing, the spiritual and the brain healing. Faith is the package deal. We have all kinds of things. We have great motivational speakers. We have all kinds of people. Bring it all in. But bring it in the context of faith and allow your whole self, because we are Catholic teachers and we know we're teaching the whole child, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the intellectual, the spiritual. Do it for yourself. Heal yourself, bring yourself to that place of prayer and trusting in God. A couple of days ago, the reading in Mark was about the storm. And they were all, on the boat, they were all afraid. And Jesus calmed the storm and said to have faith. Calm the storm within yourself. Let's try to calm the storm of this world. And let's come to a healthy place of faith and healing and support one another and walk with each other in faith. And that's what we're going to do in this course. I've gone on too long. Peace, my friends. I'm looking forward to this journey with you. God bless. We'll see you soon. Maybe at a Google Meet.